So in keeping with the vein of the book, I'd like to start out by explaining what I'm going to do. I'm going to answer the first question related to the two important takeaways that I'm going to take from this first. Then I'm going to provide some examples of the strategies I used and my opinion or experience with those, and I'd like to finally finish off by what I've learned from the experience. So the two main things I'll take out of this reading are that you need to be extremely organized, efficient, systematic and directed in your research because there has been some criticism aimed at our field, and we need to make sure that we provide the best evidence and the best arguments to prove that what we're doing is valid to the educational field in general. So these pictures illustrate my understanding across 3 different readings of Chapter 2. The first time I didn't really understand it very well. The second time I decided that the content of Chapter 2 was about how to frame your ideas in the most efficient manner in order to be successful when you write. And the third time I read it, I decided that Chapter 2 was about the lens through which you perceive your research. I used a KWL chart for Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. I unfortunately found this one not to be so helpful. I have found it very useful in conducting the guided discovery in my classes, my IB classes, but I found that with my own research, it wasn't as useful because I already know what I'm looking for. So here's my example of using Freya's model. Unfortunately, I found this to be not very practical because, especially to look at one whole chapter of this book, it was just, I don't have enough space to even begin to describe the content of that chapter. I used the what, so what, now what approach for Chapter 12 because Chapter 12 is about practitioner researchers, and I felt that it was the best gel for that because the topic itself deals with people in their own practice and relating their research to their own practice. I found it very useful, frankly, one of the better ones. So last but not least, I tried the 3-2-1 model for Chapters 19 and 20. I found this, unlike KWL, which works from questions to understanding, this one was particularly useful for me because it just allowed you to critically analyze a text and then come up with your own questions based on that. I feel that was a more logical progression for me. So what have I learned about myself as a learner during this process? And my self-reflection at the start of this, I noted that I have a strategy for academic reading where I basically just highlight and copy and paste chunks of reading into a separate document with the correct formatting already there. I find this was nicely reinforced by the chapter about organizing your research, which was quite good. So I feel I already have that particular strategy down pat. However, in using the different reading strategies here, I discovered that they're perhaps better at aiding your understanding of things rather than aiding your storage of research. One area for improvement, I would like to become proficient in using reference managing software like Zotero. I feel this is especially useful for someone in our field because if you are going to be performing more qualitative research or research where you base yourself in academic discourse based on less quantitative sources, then you need to be able to provide good evidence of the amount of reading that you've done, of your grounding, in order to prove your academic validity.